Californians are really broke right now. Even for someone like me who makes $170,000, if I were to work my full 40-hour job like I used to as a doctor of pharmacy, but now I don't do that because I do this now. I do videos and I do rural Airbnbs, which have pretty much replaced my $170,000 doctor income. So Californians aren't making a lot of money anymore. I think the gas is just too expensive now. Food's super expensive, like now like 24 packs are like $25 depending on like what brand you get. These chips, I think I paid like $15 for a 25 pack. And they didn't used to be that price, they've almost like gone up 50% or more. Cars, more expensive now. Gas, double the price. This stuff, these shades, everything's just more expensive in California now. And I don't think it's enough for people even with $170,000 to survive on. Technically, it's enough to survive on. Let me reword that. But it's not really much for them to thrive on, especially for someone like me, when out back in like 2008 or 2009, everyone was telling me to become a pharmacist because they make a lot of money. They make six figures, like $130,000 right out of school. Now it's more like $95,000 starting off, just a heads up. So imagine hearing all this stuff at 18 years old. Like, oh yeah, you can make six figures. All you have to do is go to pharmacy school, which costs maybe around $200,000. At the end of all of it, of course, you have your 8 years of school, your 4 years undergrad, and then 4 years of your doctorate. And then you come out and you make, unfortunately, $95,000 gross. Pretty low. In addition to that, you were imagining that you were going to achieve the American dream, which is what I thought I was going to get when I did my doctorate. I was going to be able to buy a house. I was going to be able to afford groceries. Going to be able to afford decor. Going to be able to buy AirPods, but everything's just so expensive now. So that's like the cost of waiting that people never really talk about. Is you have a good plan for medical school, doctor school, anything like that. And you just don't know because it's so long. It's like, it takes so long. It takes you 8 to 12 years to do whatever you want. Things could just have like gone out the window at this time. And if wages aren't increasing at the same time, at the same like rate as like housing costs, food costs, which for doctors we're usually like capped out. Like we get like 2% raises unless we own a business or something like that. Versus where inflation I know this is an extreme, but like recently it was at like 9%. Even now they say they target 2% inflation, but it's technically going up. Now they're targeting like 2.5, so it slowly like keeps on going higher when our wages are not really going any higher. So I think there's going to be a point in life when, I don't know when it is exactly, but I feel like it's getting worse and worse faster. It's kind of like compound interest. How if you invest, in index funds for 12% over 30 years, you'll have $1 million. But now it's going the opposite way. Like the inflation is growing at a 2.5% rate, and it keeps on compounding and getting worse and worse. And that's why we're in like $30 trillion worth of debt. I think that's right, something around there. But yeah, if you just think about it, even if you're like me, when I was a pretty decently high paid pharmacist. I was a manager, got a $20,000 bonus. Of course, that bonus was taken I got 50% gone immediately. Being W-2 earners, just like the American dream, like what we planned, is not gonna put you in a really good position anymore. Like, yeah, you can live off $90,000 quite easily. I mean, I used to live off like $12,000 a year, and that's how I was able to save up so much money and actually buy 2 real estate deals in South Carolina, not California. Like a year after I graduated from pharmacy school, so I saved up $50,000, a little bit more, and was able to put 2 down payments. And those homes have thankfully almost like doubled or tripled in price. And if I was still in school, or say I got held back, or I was just starting school, I'd have to wait another 8 years, and I'd be buying those same homes at the prices I would technically be able to sell it at right now. So that is like one unknown downfall, And I just think it's getting harder and it's going to get worse for the people who live in California if they don't figure something out, like, you know, learning how to invest. I think if you can figure out personal finance, at least you have some sort of investment. If you can invest in like index funds that make 12% every single year, or lately they've been like skyrocketing, which is great news for anyone who invests in stocks. But from what I hear, most people are not doing any of that stuff. And they don't like stocks because you lock money up and you don't actually get your money out until you sell. So people will make a plan. It's like, oh, I'm not going to sell any of my stocks until I make like $5 million saved. And that's going to take like 15 to 30 years. I'm 33 now. Like imagine 15 to 30 years from now, I'll be 48 to 60 plus, you know? Um, and I really don't want to wait that long to actually enjoy my life, because there's really not that much time left, especially like me being 33 now. Like I sleep 8 hours a day, obviously. So that's already like a third of my life gone. And then if you do the other third of it, which is 40 hours a week, 40 hours, that's another amount gone. And then what you're left with is basically a tired body after a long day at work. Or say you follow and you're just super aggressive with saving and you're able to do within 15 years, you're able to graduate. Basically what you're left with is a few good memories. Hopefully like you did it right and you spent time with your family and like did things that really mattered to you. But you basically lost out on like potentially really good 15 years of your life, unless you just really enjoy your work and part of what you live for is work. Then you didn't lose anything, I'll tell you that. So that's also like another reason why I always tell people you should at least enjoy your work no matter what you do, because work is part of life. Everyone's gonna want to do it eventually. At least that's what I've experienced. Like I had my first mini like sabbatical / retirement when I was 30, and after like sitting at home for like 3 months watching Grey's Anatomy, I wanted to go back to work. And I literally wrote down on a piece of notepad paper like, hey, this kind of sucks if you're just at home all the time watching TV. Like it's kind of fun to participate in society and actually like feel like you're doing good. But yeah, 170 not enough. Imagine you have kids. Each kid can potentially cost like $20,000 a year, which is probably why the fertility rates are decreasing, because no one can afford to have kids anymore. So we need to teach people how to make more money. And honestly, I think the biggest solution for Californians specifically is to probably teach them how to invest out of state, and specifically how to become business owners. My parents, when one of my brothers asked my mom a long time ago, which was like for her, my dad, to be where they are, being immigrants with nothing saved, everything's taken from them, coming from a new country, and still being able to retire with real estate. I think it's pretty dang amazing. So that's why I thought it was so smart of my other brother to actually ask my parents, like, hey, how do you make the most money so we can kind of, hopefully enjoy our lives? And the response was just business. And technically, that's what short-term rentals are. They're a small business. Same with long-term rentals. If you want to get into property management, you can be the business owner of your own rental, like your long-term rental. And you become a mini business owner. In fact, that you learn how to hire cleaners, handymen. You learn how to communicate about houses, how to fix them, how to affordably do it. Hopefully, not to get stressed about like decisions you make after it's been a few years. But if you can do this, and because us in America, we value homes, vacations, we value like a space when we travel, there's a good chance you're always going to have a place that actually earns you money. And if you imagine this, it's even more crazy. So you're a Californian and you're struggling to save up for your first down payment on a home here in California. And it's $1 million, because that's what stuff is in San Diego, LA, San Francisco. It's very common to find a home that you actually are proud to live in, a 4-2, 3-2, if you're planning to have kids or family, to spend $1 million on a house. And if you want to save 3.5%, like if you're not like one of my friends who are like pharmacists, doctors, it's going to take you a long time Because some people make less than 170. Obviously, some people live in California with $35,000 a year, and they make it work. But it's still hard, either way, and it's still hard for the person making 170 because $90,000 also means you live with $90,000 expenses. So there's something called lifestyle creep, where for some reason people who just make more money just end up spending more money. But if you can learn to save a little bit, you don't have to save like $200,000, 20% down for your first investment home in California. You can spend $50,000 in a state like West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, South Carolina, Florida, Texas, Oklahoma. There's so many places that still offer you a chance to buy a home at $200,000. Put maybe 10% down as a vacation home loan, and actually generate $70,000 to $100,000 off these rentals if you do them right as an Airbnb or short-term rental. And I'm not going to talk much about that whole system overall. I just want to let you know that it's possible, and I know because I'm doing them. My friends and family I've encouraged are doing them. My clients and my friends are doing it, and people are doing great with this. And what it actually buys you is the opportunity to kind of live in California again. So even if you don't want to like say you want to live in California, that's totally okay. Invest out of state, make that $70,000 to $100,000, and bring it back over here. Like use it to pay off your rent. Use it to potentially like do a 3.5% loan on your home in California, and help it supplement your rental income. So it's kind of like house hacking, to be honest. It's just you separate out a little bit, like versus like people here, they always think it has to be like all in one home run deal, where it could be two separate deals, where one deal actually funds your lifestyle. And that's where I think the small and mighty investor actually like really shines out, because you really don't need that many rentals either. Like he made a really good point, Coach Chad Carson. People always think you need like $5 million to like $3 million to have like a good annual income from your investments. It's even easier with short-term rentals with all the loan options that we have now, and all the information that's out on the internet. You can just straight up Google. Like you don't have to listen to my conversation. Look up like someone like Rob Built. Look up Tony Robinson. Look up any other short-term rental host that can't think of in my head right now, but they teach how to do it for free all online. How you can set up a short-term rental. And for me, I've consistently done it over and over with just $50,000 down. And it's cool because like those will compound too. So like every single year you can use that $50,000 that you generate from your first rental and buy another one. And your second year, maybe now you produce maybe $40,000 per rental, and you buy maybe like 3 more. Eventually those rentals will hopefully make you around $200,000 per year net. And if you don't want any more debt, because you're like a Dave Ramsey lover like I am, even though I love leverage, he'll hate my portfolio. You can technically sell off like 2 of the 3 homes, paid out, like just own the other 2 homes cash now, and then you could just retire if you really wanted to, and then you have those homes as nest eggs or backup plans. But people in America just don't stop renting like homes. There's a reason why the housing problem is getting worse and worse, and it's been going on for decades. It's not anything new. So if you think that home prices are going to go down because the inventory is getting smaller, you're crazy, and I bet against you personally. So yeah, I think California should learn how to make some more money. And it's not easy. Obviously, like there's always going to be people like, oh yeah, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And your biggest problem, honestly, is you need to get more skills. You're not that talented. Let's be frank. When I was 15, I was working at a gas station. I didn't deserve $100,000 as much as I wanted to say, yeah, just give me $100,000. I wasn't talented enough. I haven't really like earned respect. I don't really generate that much more income for anyone else, because anyone can just replace me. I can literally probably ask someone outside, like, hey, do you want to become a gas station clerk? Sure. And all it takes is a little bit of training and a good personality for that person to replace me. So at the point where like you can be more valuable, generate businesses more income, at the end of the day, that's honestly what it is. That's how you decide what you get paid. So if you're helping a pharmacy generate $1 million every single year, they can afford to pay you $170,000. And that's how you increase your income. You just become more valuable to other people so that they'll pay you. So look at skills, look at becoming an electrician and plumber. those are probably really good vocational skills to first like increase your actual income so you can eventually save. Like your order of operations needs to make sense. So you don't want to be like, oh, I'm just gonna go buy an Airbnb on my $35,000 income. You can, because if you have the right skills and you know how to raise money, you can do it. But if you've never set up a short-term rental before, it's quite risky, and who would lend you money like to lose money on? And it's not like we don't want to give you a chance. It's just like we work so hard also for our first $50,000. We don't want to just risk it and give it to someone else to like experiment with. So that's why it matters. Like your order, like can you prove you know how to save first of all? Are you gonna stay around, or are you just not gonna disappear and take my $50,000? That's the answers that most investors are trying to answer. And that's why we just don't give money away randomly to people. You gotta be vetted. And the easy way to do that is honestly, again, just become more skillful. If you became a skilled electrician or plumber and you made $170,000 a year, I'd be more willing to lend you money, mainly because I could be, hey, worst case scenario, I think this person's going to do a good job. They're honest. They seem great. But he always has the skills as a plumber to pay me back that way. And that's why I'm a big fan of people learning how to first learn how to build a good shovel, so a really strong income. And if you're skillful with Airbnbs and you understand real estate, go for it. Just start raising money and setting up Airbnbs like crazy, or flipping homes, whatever earned you your first 6 figures. After that, make sure you remember personal finance, save more than you spend, and invest the rest. And if you invest in things like rural Airbnbs, you can get 30% returns quite easily. And imagine compounding that over just like 5 to 10 years. You'll be a millionaire to multi-millionaire, especially if you're still working. So if you're struggling right now and you live in California, I feel for you, but just know that there's options. It's not over. You can always move if you really like are desperate. I've lived in like 6 different states. You don't have to do what I did, obviously. Especially if you have a family, it's a little bit harder. But if you kind of explain to your family, like, hey, this is for me. I want to have a better life. And financially, I am working all the time to try and save $50,000 so I can improve our lives. There might be a point where you're just fed up and just realize that the easier solution, honestly, would be to just move. And everything gets pretty normal. Like, you get used to everything no matter what it is. Like, I still remember becoming a pharmacist. I was so scared for the first 3 years, even after going through 4 years of pharmacy training. Maybe not 3 years, first 3 months of working. Yeah, you get used to it. But I remember I was like panicking every single time. I was like texting my friends, hey, do we do this? Do we do this? Does this sound right? Am I going to get sued? Are we going to hurt someone? No one's going to die, right? So it's just like those questions will run through your mind. You take it home. But eventually you learn to live with those problems, and it becomes so normal. You understand what is okay. And you will likely start to enjoy it. Just like you learn to enjoy your work, hopefully eventually. You usually learn to enjoy the new place you live to, like you move to. You'll make new friends. You'll learn to lay the land, and you adapt. We're humans. We're quite resilient. That's the beauty of being alive, And I actually think it's quite fun. The moment where we stop growing is actually when I think people get bored. We start slipping into bad habits. And, yeah. I don't even know what this video ended up being about. I mean, it was originally supposed to be about how like Californians don't make enough money, and I don't think they do, again, because of all those things I mentioned, like the gas and there's inflation on everything. But I guess it turned into like a life video. Anyways, I hope that helps. I won't eat these props.